is up, Black Comic Lords? How you
What
doing
up? What
tonight?
up?
Angel, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
We have a fun one tonight, so I'm very happy. We talk about in this space all the time about how how you can look at an artist's work, you can look at a piece of art in a comic book or on a cover or on Instagram, and you immediately know who that artist is.
Yes.
That's how you know you're a dope artist. When you got a style that is well known, that is immediately recognizable, and I know that artist. That's so and so. That's our guest tonight. Um, he is literally a young legend in the game. Um, Marcus Williams. You cannot
Yay.
say that you are into comics and you have not seen his art somewhere, whether it be on a cover of a book, inside a book, at a con, but certainly on the internet. His pictures are go viral routinely. Routinely. It's so dope. So without further ado, Mr. Marcus Williams. What up, man?
Y'all trying to make a black man blush. I appreciate that, man. That's a good intro. Thank you.
No.
What is happening? Good to see y'all. Good to be here. Um, I'm humbled. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
I meant every word. I meant every
That's
word.
awesome. That's awesome.
Your art speaks for itself, brother. I mean, it's really incredible. We
Appreciate
talk
it.
about you all the time behind your back in the space.
I was gonna say it's gotta be behind my back because
But
no one tells me anything.
it's all
That's not true. That's not true. I
No
tell you
one tells.
sometimes.
See, but I don't know. Like Marcus, we talked about behind your back the other day. Here's what we said. Y'all don't say that. Y'all don't say that. But thank you.
How'd you get into comics? So, like, what got you into comics? Were you used to read them? Tell
Yeah,
us the story.
no, I didn't. I knew about the core characters. Superman was a movie. That's how I
Right.
found out. I didn't read Superman comics. I knew Spider-Man was on TV sometimes, but I never read the comic. I didn't, my mom didn't take me to comic shops. So no, I was like maybe 7 years old, man. We had a teenager down the block, and it was a kind of like a punk, kind of grunge white kid at the time, and he was way older than us. He shouldn't have been our friend at all, but he didn't have any friends, and so he was the cool, dark and brooding white kid down the street, and he's like, man, it's just like Wolverine. I was like, crap, is a Wolverine? What are you talking about? And he's like, dude, you don't know who Wolverine is? I was like, no, I don't know what that is. What are you talking about? I was into video games at the time. I was into Ninja Turtles at the time. I knew those things, intimately. But as far as anything else, no, I'd never seen the comic book he brought over. X-Men, it had the cover with Wolverine. It's when Jim Lee was drawing it. It's a split face of Wolverine and Omega Red.
Right.
And that's
Right.
the issue. And I opened it up and I'm like, why is all this so much cooler than everything I've ever seen before? Street Fighter art and nothing had that kind of appeal or that style to it. The women were all beautiful. They were all wearing, their legs were all long and stuff. I was like, this is fantastic. So you're telling me this guy, Wolverine, has a metal skeleton. He can't die. You can shoot him, hurt him, and he just heals up. I'm like, oh man, this is dope. And I looked through the book like 7 times before I even read one word, because that's the part that I was just so drawn into. I was like, I've never seen this. I want to learn how to draw like this.
Right.
And that's how I used it. I don't think he ever asked for the comic back because I don't remember giving it back.
Aw.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
But that was like the first
if
one.
you're out there, Marcus probably still has his comic somewhere underneath a chair.
Oh no, I lost it. I lost that one. No, I lost it
Oh.
recently. In the last few years, last year, I had a flood in my basement and it got a hold of all. I don't protect my comics well, but I keep them. They're in a box. And so
Right.
a flood actually attacked most of my old comics that I've been holding on to. It was bad. The cover had already fallen off, but the comic was still there. And then the flood, when paper gets wet, it sticks together. It was like that.
So how did
Aw.
you make that transition from
Yeah.
reading comics to saying, you know what, I could do this. I want to
Oh, I started right away. So I couldn't draw. Let me go ahead and start. The artist you introduced as being so good, I sucked. When I was young, I was not good at drawing, man. I was good for a kid. I guess
Right.
if I go back in hindsight, I wasn't terrible, terrible, but I wasn't good. There's no talent. Absolutely not. I don't care what nobody say. Y'all not listening. I was there. There was no talent in drawing. I couldn't draw well, but that's where I didn't care. I had a passion for seeing stuff appear that I thought was cool come on paper in any kind of rendition. So that's what I did nonstop. And I got in trouble for it at school. And, Marcus is not a dumb kid. He just draws too much. Maybe you should take him to art school. I was like, yes, mom, do it. Let's do what she says, whatever that is. I didn't know what art school was. I just knew it had art before the school. So that's what I wanted to do. But no, I drew stubbornly. Like it didn't matter. My brother above me, I'm the youngest of four brothers. I'm the youngest. So the brother over me, he was like, "Why do you suck, man?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm 7. Give me a chance. I'm gonna get better one day soon. Just leave me alone." He's like, "Why is it all scratchy?" I said, "It's called sketching, stupid. You're so uncultured. Like, get out of here." And so he now tries to take credit for me being good. He's like, "If I didn't tell you how sucky you were, you wouldn't be good." It's like, that's not how it works, bro. It's not how it works, okay? Can't
So
take
tough,
credit.
tough love made you what you is today.
Yes, no, not at all. Because he left me at the table and was like, "No, you can't go play with me and my friends. Get out of here, brother of mine." And I was like, "Fine, I'll just go draw and play video games." So that isolation forced me to be, well, I'm just get good at drawing. I don't want to play with your stupid friends anyway. And I started drawing, and it became, I fell in love with practicing just the concept of drawing what I saw in my mind, but I didn't do it correctly. And also in hindsight, I was in love with drawing. I didn't have a teacher, didn't have a sensei, but I used the comics to reverse engineer. It's kind of like what, Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon. Like she found the scrolls and
Right.
she read through them and did her best job in trying to translate that. She got good, but she wasn't, a master. So I had to reverse engineer everything I saw, and I would just try as best I could. It sucked for a long time.
Well, let's take a look at some of your earliest work here.
Okay. Yeah.
Starting
Oh
off,
yes. Oh yes.
I actually managed to pick this up
Yeah.
at the Atlantic Comic Con
Yes.
last month.
Yeah.
Um, tell us about this book.
Oh yeah. So the current business partner of mine, Greg Burnham, uh and I had a mutual friend, Nick Who. So you see the names under the number 1 there. It says Burnham, Williams, and
Right,
Who. So Nick Who was a mutual friend
right,
between the two of us, and Greg was concepting this book, and he's looking for an artist. He kept getting catfished. Artists that said they could draw would end up, trying to draw the stuff he wanted, but they really couldn't draw. So our mutual friend Nick was like, "Hey man, I know this dude. He's a dope artist. Maybe he can draw it." I go and meet Greg and them, and he's like, "All right, man. So, let me see if you can you draw something right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, what do you want me to draw?" And so we ended up like concepting this character live at his house. And so he was, I remember Greg was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, cool." And we started working, and just I would listen to the story, we'd laugh because it's a comedy. It's a spoof of,
yeah,
not really a spoof. It makes fun of what was contemporary rap, like, well, mainstream rap on the
right.
radio. And so that's where we started. This was like 2000, yeah, like the year 2000. I didn't have no kids. I was freshly married.
This book,
No, no, no. I got married in 2001.
this book.
So go ahead.
No, no, please. I was gonna say that this book reminds me of like a cross between Living Single, Good Burger, and like
Yeah.
That's fair.
one
That's
other
fair.
reference, How High or something. It was just,
Nice.
it was funny. It was funny.
Yeah.
For
It
those
it
for those that aren't familiar with the concept of the story, please tell us what the concept is.
Yes. So again, it's Starving Artist is it's about Hungry, who's the guy in the yellow shirt in the middle, and he works at a pizzeria
Mm.
uh, with Platinum Pete, which is the guy in the purple right behind him with the dollars in the sand. Platinum Pete was a one-hit wonder hip hop artist, and he invested his money into a pizzeria in the hood. And so that's how he's maintained a lot of his money. He didn't really succeed in music after that. He just wanted to make a pizzeria, just, try to be a businessman about it. There's an interview in the back of this book that talks about that. So Hungry is definitely interested in being a hip hop artist. He's a rapper, and he's actually really dope, but he's frustrated about the current state of hip hop and mainstream hip hop. And he's like frustrated to the point where he's like, why do anything? It's not gonna, they're not gonna play my stuff on the radio. So let me just get this job at the pizzeria. He hates his job. The very next page, the very first page is him disgruntled, looking upset at his job. And so that's where we start the story. And it really just gets to the point where he gets pushed by his friends and coworker, Dizzy, Dizzy and his other homie, to actually just go do a show. It's a hip hop competition locally, and that's where the story goes. And we just we did one book. We had no idea how to do publishing and comic publishing at the time. The first books we made were 11 by 17 pieces of paper folded and stapled together. I did that. We did that at Kinko's at the time. Young people don't know what that is. Kinko's is just a print and copy center. And that's literally how we published the first books. And we got it published locally in Atlanta. Criminal Records was the first store that put it that we showed them the comic and they did it on consignment. So, but we were selling the book for $4. To do the thing that we were doing to publish it and print it at Kinko's was $10. We were on consignment, which
Right.
means we got a portion of that, and we weren't making any money at all. But we were happy that people were buying it. Like, it sold out. We gave them, I think, 5 issues, and they sold out that day. And the dude calls us back the following day. He was like, "Hey, y'all got any more of those comics?" And we was like, "What you mean, dog? What happened?" He's like, "Oh, we sold them out." He's like, "Oh, cool." And we're all excited. And so we go back to Kinko's, make 5 more. That was $50. And we were making like under $2.
But you're only selling for $5 each.
Yeah,
$4.
it was bad. It was bad. It taught us, a very, very powerful lesson. Taught us a powerful lesson in business, which was, we didn't, and this is before, smartphones, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. That we can put a product, and he was the owner was putting it right on the comic shelf next to X-Men, and like he didn't like put it anywhere obscure. He put it right in the front on the shelf, and people bought it. We have no idea who the hell bought these books. No idea. We had a banner. We spent $100, put a banner in the store just to drive awareness. Someone bought the banner. We told him that the banner wasn't for sale, and he sold it. We was like, who bought the banner? What are you talking about? He was like, oh man, this dude, he grilled me, dog. He just wanted the banner. I was like, we don't know who has that. Someone has it or have, had it at some point. So it's in somebody's house. Whoever you are, man, contact us. We'd like to know and hear your story. But no, at that point, we just knew we weren't good at publishing and print, like making money with comics, but we could do it. And what it taught us is we actually could make a product that people wanted. And no one had to give us permission. This was just self-published. It was guerrilla tactics, man. Super, super grassroots. It's still, some of them still had the white border on the papers. That's how bad it was. So I would try to cut them off, man, but it was hard. So, but
So second time around, because you recently re-released this book. How did it do in comparison? Were you still selling for $4?
No. We learned how to price it and everything.
No.
No, it's the difference is now we could I can't remember how many Greg ordered, but publishing for almost a decade now, we sell our books at usually, $10 at a show. So if the unit cost per comic is somewhere like $1 or something like that, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. If we
Right.
buy 1,000 units, 2,000 units of the book and we're selling it at 10, now you can make money, because you only have to
Right.
sell a few hundred to actually make your printing costs back. And then everything else is just surplus and profit. So, we know how to do it now. I didn't want to re-release the book. I fought him. I was like, "What? Come on, man, let's just redo it, bruh." Because this is my art 20 years ago. This is, if you look at the bottom, it says
Right.
2002. So yeah,
Right.
I didn't want to do it. I was like, "Listen, man, it was bad. It's bad." He was like, "Nothing's wrong with this." I was like, "Hey, we didn't release some of your rhymes from 20 years ago." Because Greg's a rapper, and I'm like, "Nah, put that out then. Put out one of your mixtapes and we'll call it even." He was like, "Nah, nah, nah." I was like, "Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right, you don't want to do that." But no, begrudgingly, I said, "All right, man, just go ahead and do it." It's his book, it's his story. It's just also my art, so it's a timestamp piece. And this
Do,
is like literally, I got
do you
Photoshop
think
in
you'll ever
'99.
you think you'll ever redo it?
That's the plan. Even if I don't redraw, if I don't draw it, the goal is to get somebody that can actually render and follow the designs pretty much for the most part. I'd love to do a cover, updated cover now,
Yeah.
just to pay homage to, man, because I like the cover still, but this is like, if you open the book, man, you're gonna see textures that were probably default Photoshop textures in 99, 2000. And it's kind of hard looking at it because I'm like, oh, I would change that. I would do this. I was just figuring out I think I had Photoshop for like a year or so before I started working on this. So I was proud of it at the time. I can do better now. I've learned some things, but it's
All
not
right.
it's not horrible. I
So
like you said. Go ahead.
let's see how you progress next.
Uh-oh, hold on.
I'm sure that's
Go
that's
ahead.
my cue to the producer to go to the next step. He's not.
Got
He's
it,
not.
got it, got
He sees it.
it.
All right.
Yes.
So Grandpa Shoes. This is Greg's children's book, right?
Yes. Grandpa's shoes. This is after, well, a few years, good few years, 10 years or so after, we did Starving Artist. This is well, the first one was Broken Glass, the next cover. Um, we did that one in 2013. Uh, Shortly thereafter, though, we did, Grandpa's Shoes. So this is when Greg like badgered me and hounded me. He was like, "Hey man, I got some children books idea." And I was like, "Leave me alone, stupid. We don't know how to make money yet. I'm trying to figure out stuff." And we actually did go to some seminars and learn a little bit about children's book publishing. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. He finally got me to do some illustration and we ended up publishing this. So he wrote it, I illustrated both books. It was pretty dope. So yeah, we put these out 2013 ish. Yeah.
And this is so Broken Glass came out before Grandpa's.
Yeah, this was the first one we did. Yeah,
Uh,
he kept badgering
you
me.
can
He's
see
like,
the
"Come on,
evolution.
man." Yeah, and again, it's weird looking at stuff you do this long ago. Because again,
Right.
style wasn't the only thing. It was the tools, me trying to figure out how to render the stuff. It's a good bit of time to figure it out. I had at least a decade to play with it, but you know this is me coming up with a style and rendering it in a children's book way. So it's sort of a painterly slash comic effect to it. So that was new at the
Do you
time.
use Procreate or
Oh no, that was
do
nowhere
it digitally?
near.
What? How do you?
No, that was Photoshop. Everything was Photoshop. So Procreate didn't exist back then. This was all Photoshop, and I just had, I knew I wanted it to feel painterly, um, and stuff like that. So that's where we came up with this. I kind of crafted a style that made it feel this way. But it was cool. It was
Okay.
still kind of stylistic inside. If you guys get a chance to pick that up, I get mad at him because he forgets them sometimes at shows, and I'm like, dude, where your children's book at, stupid. um. So yeah.
Derek's asking, what did you do for a living at this point in time? I guess back when you were
Oh yeah, I
doing
had I had
Broken
jobs,
Glass.
man. Yeah, I
In
had
your
I
period.
had jobs. I had day jobs and stuff. I was not an artist full time at this point. Oddly enough, so the if we go all the way back, 99, after I graduated, I did some freelance for Cartoon Network. Um, after I graduated, but I was working at the movie theater. When I after I graduated, I'd done odd jobs and stuff like that. I was working at Kohl's, things like this. So I did art on the side. But when the Cartoon Network started paying, it was fantastic. But that only lasted about a good 6 months. So after that, you just kind of moonlight arting. I was moonlighting artist work. So, day jobs. I had some day jobs. And then I
Which
got my
cartoons on
full-time job.
Cartoon Network?
Oh, I'm sorry, Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, that was my literal
Oh,
first
okay.
freelance job as a brand new artist to it. I wasn't professional at anything. And yeah, I got to work on some comic page work, just the pencils for Powerpuff Girls. That was my very first job on as an artist.
Do you think you'll ever want to do a Powerpuff Girls comic book in the future?
Oh man, I loved the job, but it was very restrictive because and I think this is what pushed me away at the time is I wanted to put more energy into it. I wanted to make it feel, but they were like, nah, don't do that. Do it like stay on model. It has to feel like the
Mm.
cartoon. And I'm like, I know, but I really want to get this expression. And they're like, no, no, do what we tell you. Keep all that creativity crap out of here.
No.
And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be here. You know that? And it was bold. Now, in hindsight, I
That's
was like, I probably would have slapped my young self if I traveled back in time and said, shut up, stupid. Keep getting these checks. You got to pay for a car, fool. But it really didn't feel good to hear my superiors say, no, 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 keep your ideas out of here. We don't want that. Just be a cog. Do what we tell you, and we'll give you checks. So it kind
well,
of it
the
rubbed me the wrong way.
lesson here is make your own
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls.
Well, I'm
Make
not
your own
against that.
Powerpuff Girls.
I see what your question was. Would I? Absolutely. I would, and just out of paying homage to at that as that being my first job, I would love if they say, Marcus, we just found out you did Powerpuff Girls back in 2000. I would absolutely do a cover, just to pay homage. Like, yeah, that's my roots. I love the cartoon too. So at the time, I didn't know what the hell a Powerpuff Girl was, and so they was like, the art director was the uncle of the woman I would go on to marry. And so I was working at the movie. They said we should have started with this. I was working at the movie theater. She comes up. We went to the same high school. She comes up to the movie theater. I'm working in the box office. She's, hey, Marcus, how you doing? You still drawing? I'm like, yeah, I'm still drawing. I'm just working at the movie theater, on the side. I wasn't professional at all. So she's like, oh man, you should meet my uncle. I was like, that's a weird thing to say to a grown man. Why should I meet your uncle? What are you saying that for? Oh, well, he's the art director at Cartoon Network. I'm like, oh, well, I get off at 3. We should meet your uncle. Let's go do that tonight. Let's do it. And I was joking, and she was like, okay. And we for real, like, drove and pulled up to his house. And all I had was my little tattered sketchbook. I'm showing him my pages, and he's like, yeah, I think I can get you some work. That was the first professional black artist I had ever met in my life. I'd never seen a professional artist who lived and breathed art. So he had art all over the walls, African mask, and all this cool stuff. He played bass, and he was a bachelor. I was like, oh, this is dope, bro. So you mean you draw all the time, huh? And they pay you for. So that was my very, very first interaction. And he got me a pencil test, got me an ink test. He had a test where I had to draw all of the current cartoons on Cartoon Network and make like a mock comic cover of my design. So I had to draw Dexter's
Right.
Lab, Cow and Chicken, Johnny Bravo, Ed and Eddie, and I just made up my own covers to show that I can stay on design. So that was needed. They needed to actually know, could I stay on design? That wasn't mine. And I'm like, yeah, draw some wop-headed girls, no fingers. I can draw that, no problem. But at the time, he admitted that they couldn't. It was difficult for them to find artists to stay on model. And I was like, hey, that's not hard at all. Let's do it. So I did a lot of pages, man. The first first once I got my test out the way, he's like, all right, here's 3 pages. And it was very rough comic pages, just the thumbnails almost of what the comic page was for the Pop-Up Girls. And he's like, all we need you to do is blue line cleanup. That's for the layman, it's just drawn with a blue pencil, and cleaning up the rough draft of that comic layout so the inker could get it. And then, I'm
Yeah.
like, no problem, bro. I didn't sleep much back then. I was young. I was like 19. So I did all 3 that night. Called him the next day. I was like, I'm done. He's like, damn, for real? I was like, yeah, I'm done. Turned him in. He's like, oh man, this is perfect. Here's your check. And he gave me $3,000. And I was 19. I was like, please, sir, can I have some more? And it was like, he was like, yeah, man, no problem. Here's 5 pages. And sure enough, I did 5 pages, turned it in, gave me $5,000. 8 pages, $8,000. I was like, this is fantastic. I want to do art always. This is great. So that's what started my freelancing journey. So that's after that was over though. Nobody paid me that much for a long time. Because I was working with individuals, I was working with entrepreneurs and startup people, and they're like, here's $200. I was like,
But
thanks.
you also got to do some mainstream work. You got
I
to
did, yes, that
work on my
eventually came.
Black Panther.
That did eventually come. And this is one of those things to where I can say it in a short version. This is after years of posting fan art, my own designs. I've never submitted any work to Marvel. I never did any, applications to work with Marvel. So I was very fortunate that they reached out to me with this opportunity. And it was like, hey, I just come from watching the new Black Panther film with my kids, and we're coming out the theater, we're talking about it, and I get the email and I'm checking. It says Black Panther. What kind of what? Kids, shut up talking real quick. Look at this. And I show them the email in the back seat, and they're like, oh, that's dope. So literally, it was like just out of the blue. I got an email from them, and I was like, heck yeah, I want to do some Wakanda stuff. Let's do it. So it was really cool.
Did you do the inking and coloring on this as well?
Yes, I did all steps of the art on this piece. It was there's the writer was she had a few pages in there that was just telling a fable, a story about Anansi the spider. And she's like, Marcus, do
Right.
something, do something else with your style. And I was like, okay, is it like a painterly style or like a storybook? She was like, yeah, that's fine. And so that's where they had this comic style, but I also got to do some painterly stuff. Like I said, like little children's book kind of style to it. But yeah, this is all me. Colors, inks, lines, everything.
I love how even on the you got the 2 tones of the color on the hands,
Oh
even that
yes.
detail. That's
Which is odd.
that's
Which is odd to
fantastic.
say that, right? Isn't that weird that that's something that is a highlight when you're drawing a black character? I can only assume in animation it's to save time to not have the two-tone,
Right,
because our hands do have that in real life. But in
right.
comics, there's no excuse. Like the colorist either knows about that or they don't know about it. I'm not sure, but
Right.
that's something that I feel like it's a weird thing to exclude.
Even did some more work for Marvel, Captain America.
Oh yeah, that was the next one. Yeah. And it was only 4 pages, but it was still fun. It was still fun to do. And eventually this is where,
But then
after doing some
you move
things.
onward and upward to the stuff that I think arguably is, well, my personal favorite work of yours, which
Mhm.
is Tuskegee Heirs.
Yes,
Tell us about this process. How did you and Greg come about putting this series together?
sure. So I would say this was 2015. Me and Greg were doing Greg was doing a children's book signing at a local mall here in Atlanta. And just Marcus come along. I'm the illustrator, so he's the author, I'm the illustrator, and we got the table set up and random people are coming up buying the books. I had my posters on sale, and at the time I was doing a Young Heroes set. Oh, here, no, wait, yes, it's here. Look at this. Look at the on timeness. I found this like crumpled up in a corner somewhere, y'all. You can see it's all jacked up. Young Heroes, I'm sorry. There you go. Was a collection of a whole bunch of black and brown superheroes, but young. That's all I was doing. It was Marvel, it was DC, and it was
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, the whole purpose was to have something for parents to hang up in their kids' room and to prove that there are superheroes that look like them, right? So I had this stuff on the table, and this
Do you have any more of those?
That is like really
Do you see
cool.
how I don't know if y'all see how jacked up this is. Look how jacked up this is. I printed these just to see if people would buy them at comic shows. So this was like crumpled up in a box somewhere. I was like, oh snap, I got one more. I did sell a lot of these. Must have been a test version or something. So this is the only one left of that of this little thing. But I
would highly suggest you go ahead and reprint those and start selling those
Reprint
again.
that.
I am. This is the problem. I draw too much. And a lot of these were 2015. That's when I started that. But the cool thing is, Elder, he came by the table. He's like, man, y'all got anything for aviation? These kids don't know nothing about aviation and this, that, and man, it'd be dope if you can do something with aviation. And I'm like, well, I was planning on doing some Tuskegee Airmen for my Young Heroes line. And he was like, oh, that's cool, man. That'll be good. And you can take that to Hartsfield. And Greg was sitting there, and he's after the guy, bought his books and said, you should do that. Greg is like, hey man, we should write that up. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, Young Tuskegee Airmen. I was like, okay, that sounds dope. It was around Thanksgiving time, and we took like a weekend where I went over his house, man. We started spitballing ideas, and it didn't take long, like the concept and theme. But what we didn't want to do was disrespect any of the actual heirs of the Tuskegee Airmen. There's so many. The families are real. These are real people. And we meet them all the time. But we were like, okay, how do we not disrespect anybody? So we can't call it, Tuskegee Airmen, next class or, next generation. So we said, we'll put it in the future from now. And they're not blood descendants. They're just new pilots. They look up to the Tuskegee Airmen, but they're being trained by a descendant of the Tuskegee Airmen. So we called, once we said that, I was like, oh, we can put it in the future. Hey, man, we can do that. Means we can add robots. We can add some giant mechs. The planes can transform into mechs. And Greg was like, oh, we can do, we can do Mars.
You took my love of mechs in anime.
Yes.
And you mixed it with the man. Look, that whole concept. And it was cool. Like you look at the covers.
Yeah.
It was like a surprise. It was like an Easter egg or a massive surprise because you see these covers, even the first cover, it's like the it's like the original old P-51 Mustang, but you had no idea until you get towards the end of the book that, damn, they're about to do mechs.
Yes. And it shows in the first book. Like if you turn the first book over, he's leaning on, because that was the first image I did of just as a character design. I had Abel is the character on the first book, on the first cover when they're on the P-51 Mustang. He's kneeling at the bottom, and the first drawing I did was Abel like leaning on the shoulder and his elbows resting on the head of the mech. So it was there, but you had to actually turn the book over and or flip through it. The plane transformed into giant mechs. So Greg was like, we should do martial arts. I'm like, oh, I'm designing the weapons. And so all of this excitement, happened in that first meeting. And usually me and Greg fight fiercely about the name of something at the time. And so, and I was like, he's like, what about Tuskegee Heirs? He's like, yeah, that's it. Let's do that. And it was no fight. It was like everything, the concept, everything. And I was like, give me like a week to design the characters. And I came back with drawings and the idea of what they would wear. And I drew that Able mech shortly after I pitched all of this stuff to Greg. And he's like, yep, that's dope. Let's do it. And so posting the images to Facebook at the time, people was like, if this is what we think it is, shut up and take our money. Where's the Kickstarter? Where's the this? And we're like, okay, cool. So we ended up doing a Kickstarter the following year from February 2015. Oh gosh, it was 2016 February. So yeah, we did a Kickstarter in February, man. It went insane. We hit the button, and you know, we at the time we're like, how much do we charge? How much are we going for? What's the goal? And we're like 10 grand. 10 grand to do a book publishing thing. We hit the button on Kickstarter and we got that within 8 hours. You know, 10 grand in 8 hours. Oh man, we was jumping off the ceiling, man. We was like, what are we gonna do, bro? What are we gonna do now? So it was just pledge goals and just, you know, all the cool stuff that we can give, t-shirts, posters, everything. So it was really cool, man. We ended up getting over 72 grand with the Kickstarter. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, one of the comments here is by Khatib, says, love how you and Greg weave true history within the stories. And I'm looking at this cover on the right.
Yes.
Can you tell us who these people are on this cover?
You're gonna put me on the spot. These I'm gonna go general. I can't think of the names off top. You know, I haven't eaten dinner yet, but these are all of the pilot influences,
Right.
you know, that came before even the Tuskegee Airmen. These were, you know, pilots that were Black pilots. They weren't military at the time. They weren't, you know, some of them eventually flew, but you know, one such character, the gentleman with the black, you know, he had to go fly for the French. They wouldn't allow him to fly for the American.
Right.
So
And then
these
he
are
went
the
to fly for the Ethiopian Air Force.
there you go.
As well.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall.
So
Yeah.
that we did this cover as an homage during Black History Month, just to show all of the wonderful influences that and that weaving in history has always been a theme, because the core concept that me and Greg talked about, even in that meeting, was like, this doesn't exist. You know, we are both fathers. We both have kids. The actual names of the kids of the pilots themselves are named after our kids in real life. So my
I
two
didn't know
is
that.
Genesis and Abel. Those are my two kids. Two of the pilots are named Genesis and Abel, and Greg has two, Omar and Ayana. So Slip was just thrown in there. Slip is just another pilot. So but that's the kind of stuff to where we wanted to teach our kids to look back to history, to understand and learn the giants that came before, you know, and you can actually learn how to navigate your current day using that method. You can look back to all the problems they solved and all the things they had to go through. So it's a very, you know, powerful theme throughout the whole book. It's something that we're going to continue to push in there. When it gets to animation, not if, when it gets to animation, that's going to be a recurring theme, because they have to look back in order to be as powerful as they are, you know.
Any ET, I know you get this question all the time, but because and Greg always cringes every time I ask him, but any ETA as to when Tuskegee Heirs is going to come back and or the animation project?
I called Greg today. We have to do it before October this year. We're gonna hit New York with a new issue. So that's in the plan. Literally, you know, we're meeting this week just to get it back on track. It's been a wonderful 2 years. Busy wise, and we're gonna get to why. But Greg has gotten work with, you know, DC, and he did you know, the whole Milestone initiative, and I got work with Marvel, and I'm doing Popeye. It's been a wonderful. I've worked on animation. One of the shows I worked on with Sony came out on Max called Young Love. It was based on a children's book called Hair Love, but they randomly emailed me too. It was like, hey, how would you like to be the lead character designer for this? I'm like, heck yes. Yes. And it's been a crazy whirlwind. From the last book we published, we just had a lot of great success. So that's what's been, you know, we like money, we like paying bills and feeding our children. So it's been one of those things where our fans have been fantastic and being patient with us. Because of all of that, it's been a long time, but you know, we shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. You're right. This is some of the these is some of the art. This is some of the art from, you know, that original design sheet that I was doing for the pilots, and I'm like, it should feel like the original Tuskegee Airmen.
I love how you weaved in sort of the original Tuskegee Airmen outfits and put a futuristic edge on it, paying homage and showing moving
Yeah.
it forward as well. So I thought that was kind of dope.
Appreciate it. And kids don't know what they're looking at. They think this is out of my head, and I'm like, no, this is real people. This is very much the real outfit. It's based on that. Of course, I added some shoulder pads for futuristic appeal and a cool belt buckle. But if you look at the real shots of the Tuskegee Airmen, they had the bomber jackets, they had the little flight cap and all that good stuff. So yeah, I just nudged it a little bit, here and there. No, there will be no next Kickstarter. I
You're
looked
a
at the thing.
fan?
Huh?
Marwan Williams says he's hunting for these books right now.
TuskegeeHeirs.com. TuskegeeHeirs.com. HEIRS.com. That is where
There
you
you
can
go.
order them live. So yeah.
So your next work with Greg is on working on this cover for Little Rock Files, which is dope.
Yeah,
Help
well,
sell him some more books.
this came shortly after we did I want to say 8-pager. He did a collection book. Gosh, I can't think of the title. What is that called?
Noir is the New Black.
Yeah, Noir is the New
Noir is the New
Black.
Black.
Yeah, it was a grouping of multi. I can't think of words right now.
Anthology.
And thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Anthology book. And he was asked to write a story, and he again twisted my arm, man, because I was trying to do 7 things at the time. He's like, man, just draw 8 pages, bro. I'm like, shut up, stupid. I don't have time. And I ended up doing it. So it was that's the 8-pager was based on Little Rock Files, but it was just in that anthology. But eventually, of course, he actually did write the full story, and he's doing that right now. So you can buy that anthology too.
That's what's up.
Yes, there are new plans for Supernatural.
Back to Marvel.
Yes, more Marvel. I got some more
Marvel. This is your most recent Marvel work, right?
Yes. Spider-Woman. This one was fast paced, man. I had to get this done in like 2 weeks. And I was traveling. I was like, Lord, yes, I will do it. I will do it.
Spider-Verse #4. This is the first comic book introduction of Jessica Drew, the Black Jessica Drew from the Miles Morales second movie. And you also created or reimagined version of Hawkeye. There it is.
Yes.
A character I absolutely despise. I hate Hawkeye. I think he's a complete tool.
Oh, jeez.
And then you do, I don't mince my words, but then you do this version. I'm like, damn, now I like Hawkeye. This is what Hawkeye's gonna do.
At least this one, right?
I was about to say that's the job. That's the job of a character designer, man. If I don't do that, at least I haven't done my job right. So yeah, definite.
Has Marvel said anything to you about maybe continuing this story?
No, my communication with Marvel is elusive and mysterious. They say words and then they stop saying words. It's very strange. I get an email, I say yes, they send me stuff, I send them stuff. They're like, thanks. And it's like, whew. I was like, okay, well, bye. It's very elusive, man. They are not a very communicative group at the time. When I'm working with them, they're very communicative. How long is it gonna take? You almost finished? You doing all right? Not in a bad way, but it's just, as soon as they get it, man, it's a machine, I guess. They do not check in.
Oddly enough, that's not the first time I've heard someone say that.
We're just being real. I know they're a machine. I know they got to get deadlines, but they do not check in. Like, hey man, how's it going? We just wanted to say what's up. None of that. It's hey, thanks. Deadlines. Bye. And so no word yet. If they do, I'd love to take some time and really craft it and make it awesome. So spend time on it.
If you guys dug his work on Edge of Spider-Verse #4, go ahead and tag Marvel with some pictures of it and say, bring Marcus Williams back.
Cool. Pitchforks and
so now let's talk about your latest, your non-Marvel stuff. Eye Lie Popeye. Now tell us what got you into this book.
Thank you, Herb. You'd have to go forward to the fan fiction I did with in the slides to Popeye and Goku. So I do fan fictions. For those that don't know me, I do a lot of fan fictions where I if I'm a fan of something, and I have one that's way older than what you're about to show, Where
Okay.
if I'm a fan of a character, I'll do my spin on it. I'll try to make it contemporary. You pass it if you go back, but that's the kind of thing where I did a fan fiction where
Actually, that's so
Goku,
funny.
yeah, Goku and Popeye, and I
Right.
called it Dragon Ball Popeye World Breakers, right? And it was about a good, I think, 7 images that I did, just crossing over the characters. Olive was in it. You know, the characters from Popeye, Bluto was in it with, you know, he was next to Frieza, stuff like that. And I just had fun with it when I did that. And with me, I'm doing that for me. No one commissioned that. No one said, hey, you should do this. I'm thinking like, oh, you know, it'll be dope. And I think that says 2020. So this was around the pandemic time. And I was just, you know, this is what that's my pleasure, coming up with fan fictions and stories and versions of characters that I love. I'm a character designer, so that was my redesign of Popeye. 2 years plus go by, right? And I'm done. Like as soon as I get it out, I'm on to the next thing. I was just doing that as a fun thing, right? So I see that someone tags me 2 years later on Facebook, and it's that same Popeye and Goku image, and it's gone viral on Facebook because Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball Z, has a Facebook page. I don't know who runs it, but they posted that, and it went viral. It was thousands of likes and all these comments, and someone tagged me finally, because the original poster didn't. Find in the comments, and I was like, "Oh, that's dope. Oh, that's nice on Toriyama's page. That's cool." Like, and I didn't think anything of it. But come to find out, the people that own Popeye saw this too. The social media manager saw that post, and then he shared it to Twitter, and it went viral again. And someone tagged me there. He didn't know who I was. The people that own Popeye, the rights to Popeye, didn't know me as an artist or anything. So he found that post, that tag, and then followed it, emailed me, and was like, "Hey man, we love your art. How would you feel about doing a 10-page comic about Popeye, the one that you designed?" I was like, HELLYES. Hell yes. Right. So I was like, let's do it. I said, who's gonna write it? You know, and he was like, well, we read your fan fiction. We thought you could write it. I was like, I can write it. That's so crazy. Let's do it. And we had all these cool conversations.
Now, have you ever written anything before that?
Well, this one book called Tuskegee Heirs. I co-write Tuskegee Heirs with Greg, which
Right.
is
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, like writing a comic and structuring the story, structuring the layout, all that. We co-write it together, and then I do the steps to bring it to life artistically from there. But yeah, I'm a co-writer of that. So we had all these great conversations. I said, y'all got to rope me in, man. You can't just let me. What can I do and what can't I do? And we came up with a 10-pager. I had to make it make sense. So I Lie was just a 10-page story. So the initial story we came up with that was just cool, just to test and see if people like the art, was the premise is a young reporter comes to get the scoop on how Popeye lost his eye, right? And that reporter is named Judy Patootie. It's a character I created. She's trying to get the scoop, and as soon as Popeye goes to open his mouth, Olive is like, "Wow, oh, just that? I can tell you how he lost his eye." And so everyone around Popeye tells their version of how they think he lost his eye. The I lie part is everyone's telling a version of the truth. They don't know exactly how he lost his eye. So that's the I lie Popeye. So it's, them telling their version. So that was the premise. It got to the 10 pages and I was done. I had a blast doing it. And I wrote it and drew it. It was fun. And then the people at the higher ups at the company, Comics King, was like, "We love it. Tell them to do 30 more pages." I was like, "Oh, nice. All right, cool. Let's do it." And, sign the paperwork. It was a fantastic, thing. It's probably the best job I've ever had in comics, because not only is this a very, very classic and well-known character, they gave me the keys to make something that I thought was cool as a fan. But in our conversations, he's a huge fan of anime. He's a huge fan of that action and stuff. He thinks the same way I do. So it was so perfectly matched, man. It was like I'd never had anyone give me this much freedom with a established character. So it was easy for me. I was like, this is what I want to see. Here's the concepts I want to see. The story is, in my mind, is Popeye has never had the chance to grow as a character. None of the characters have. He's been in that loop, the whole Scooby-Doo loop, I call it, which is, it's the formula. And fans weren't mad at this is over 100 years, almost 100 years. It's 92 years plus 95 years of Popeye. And he's doing the same thing he always has done. He gets bullied or beat up. He takes some spinach and he beats up the bully and solves the problem. End of the story. And we're on to the next. And it's the same formula. So I wanted him to grow as a character. If you watch anime or if you read manga, Japanese writers and creators are some of the most like masterful character writers. I think there is. They're fantastic at it, man. They can make you care about any story. If it's well written, they can actually really, really keep you connected as the characters grow. And Dragon Ball was a great example. So that's why I mixed the two. Goku and Popeye are very similar characters. They're goofy at times, but they can, tear the world up if you let them. So that's where it started.
That first 10-page that you did, was that what was released as the Free Comic Book Day version?
And more, the Free Comic Book Day. So what happened is it got picked up to be published by Massive Publishing. So once Massive Publishing came in, there's like, well, let's release a Free Comic Book Day version of the book. So that actually had the 10 pages plus a little bit more. It was like it was almost a 40-page book altogether, the 10 pages plus the extended story. So that is what they released in Free Comic Book Day. I was like, that's a lot, bro. I was like, give 10 pages and that's it for Free Comic Book Day. But they were like, no, we're gonna put a little bit more in there. So that's what came out for Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, you couldn't find it, by the way. It was
listen,
gone.
Listen, I was at the comic shop on Free Comic Book Day, and I managed to get one. After I was only there for a time. I was like, hey man, y'all got any more of those? And he was like, I got one left, bro. I was like, let me get that. So it was very successful, man. I got to sign a lot of them. So that was cool.
This cover and this black one with the
Punch Out.
Was it Punch Out? Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yes.
Have you seen the prices on what that's selling for?
I saw it and someone told me about it, and I'm like, that makes sense. It's a dope cover. I'm happy I'm happy it works out for him, but the nostalgia is undeniable. So look, I hear the music. I know what that sounds like. I was there. I was there when that happened.
All right. So here's the thing. Look at the solicits for the next issue.
Yes.
And this is what comes up.
Yes.
Issue number 2.
Right.
And what immediately pops up is what we circled here.
Yeah.
Popeye and his new crew salvage their business and reunite with old friends Whaler Joe and his wife.
Yeah. Yes.
Whaler Joe.
Yeah.
So we're like looking up who's Whaler Joe.
Right.
And we come across this old article from 1931.
Cool.
Talking about Whaler Joe.
Yeah.
And says, then Whaler Joe, talking about Popeye's origin when he was a kid or what have you. Whaler Joe picked up the lackless lad on the docks and bought him a new pipe and a fascinating straw skimmer with handsome radio antenna by which Maroon Dandruff could send SOS calls.
Yes.
So, who's Whaler Joe?
So, great question, because I didn't know. I didn't read the comic strips from, back in the day, Popeye. I watched the cartoon when I was a kid, like everybody else did. I never read the comic strips. And so remember I said we had a lot of meetings and talks once I got to do the 10 pages. And they brought up Whaler Joe, and I was like, who? Who's Whaler Joe? And what was explained to me by their local historian at Comics Kingdom, it was like, oh, it was a black character who kind of stepped in as a surrogate father for Popeye when Pappy wasn't around, because Pappy was a Rolling Stone. I don't know what was Pappy. I don't know where he was, but you know, it was a black character. It was a black, boatsman, and they told me, yeah, he was supposed to come out. This was a character created by the original, artist and creator of Popeye, but at the time, because racism, he couldn't put a black character. They wouldn't let him publish a black character in the book. Not not based on the story that he wanted to tell. It was a positive role model. It was a positive character for Popeye.
And this is the original creator wanted to do this?
This is what he wanted to do. So Whaler Joe was only mentioned, in stuff like this, but never drawn into the comic strip. So that's where I was like, oh man, this is so dope. So you telling me there was a surrogate father figure for Popeye who was black? And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh hell, y'all done messed up and gave me some good stuff. I was like, so tell me more. What does he do? And they showed me the comic strip that they're currently running at King Features, and I was like, okay, cool. And they actually have him featured a few times, where Popeye is kind of still mad at Pappy. He still holds some anxiety from animosity, I should say, from not being around, but Whaler Joe was around and stuff. The one right here on the right is Popeye's mom, as you can tell from her features. But yeah, that line right there. So they really kind of lean into it. And so I took, a lot of credence and a lot of leeway and springboard from what they're doing in the comic strip currently. This is 2020. And was that one 2023? So these are still new where he's featured. Whaler Joe is featured. But yeah, I took it. I was like, oh man, there's so many cool things I want to do with Whaler Joe. So yeah, I created his lady. And they're going to show up in issue 2. And I got a little backstory in there, to kind of give a little window. But I'm going to lean into it. I love the fact that this character hadn't had his opportunity to really shine. So this is in the comic strips that's being published online. The Whaler Joe that I'm designing is the first one that's going to show up in an action comic. So
you know what that means?
What does that mean?
That doesn't work. See, I dramatic
love it.
And my producer's screwing up. All right.
I love it. I love it. It played on my end. It was great.
All right. So this would be, in essence, a BCL exclusive.
Thanks.
I mean, here's the thing. This is where you're supposed to play. Here's the thing. You're creating, you're reinventing, you're putting for the first time in a comic book, because we have, as you said, this isn't a comic strip. This is
online comic strip. Yeah.
But your version is going to be the first one in a comic book ever made.
Yes.
And it also mentions he's going to have his lady friend, which I think that's never been done before. This is an original creation of yours?
Yeah.
So you are adding to the Popeye mythos.
Yes. And
the interesting thing is, I can already tell you the fanboys who are going to go crazy and say, oh, this is just some more woke stuff. You're just trying to just make it all woke.
Right.
Negro artist came along and he just made it all woke.
Right.
Not realizing that the original creator of Popeye actually wanted this and intended for that to happen.
Yes.
So
that's the awesome part. That's where I got excited, man. I got so excited when he told me that. I was like, did he eat spinach too? Or did he eat collard greens? Which one was it?
See, I was going to say that, but I didn't want to get in trouble.
I'm asking the questions. I was like, dude, which one? Is that who introduced Popeye? So another note that I didn't know, because I didn't read the comic strips. Popeye didn't eat spinach in the comic strips.
He ate collard greens?
He didn't eat. He was just strong off the rip. Popeye was just naturally strong. He was punching stuff and beating people up. No spinach in the comic strip. That was added for the cartoon. He never ate spinach in the comic strip. I was like, what? What? Really?
Something else you mentioned to me. I remember you mentioned this back in back at the con in Virginia,
Yeah.
was Whaler Joe is into gardening.
Yes. Yes.
Is are you gonna tie that into Popeye's love
Absolutely.
of spinach?
Absolutely. And it's not just Whaler. This is where his lady is going to be an influence, and I'm gonna have some time. The part that excites me is, like I said, Popeye never had the opportunity to grow, and you can do that in reverse as well in terms of a character's arc and story arc and who they are. So if I get to insert, lore about what made Popeye Popeye, things like that, I can insert that lore, even though this may not be, I don't canon, whatever you want. I'm doing a very careful job of not trying to upset hardcore Popeye fans. This
Right.
is a new version. It's a rebooted version. Um, Clearly by the look, Popeye never had abs, and he, things like that. So, but I still hate when directors or writers get a hold of something that's very, very ingrained into fans' hearts and minds and just blatantly change it. I'm gonna make, Olive Asian. I just want to do something different. There's no reason to do that. These are the same characters. I love these characters. I grew up with these characters. I can still write new material for these characters, make them absolutely the same and familiar, and insert lore that makes sense without upsetting fans. It's the same thing that happened with the first Spider-Man movie, where they took away his web shooters with Tobey Maguire, right? And the director, Raimi was like, well, he got bit by the spider. It changed his genetic makeup and gave him spider. He has Spider Man, DNA now. So the web shooters doesn't even make sense in context. If we then gave him a gland where the web comes out and he pushes his hand and it just comes out of a gland now. I was in the theater saying, that makes sense. That makes sense. I don't know what your problem is. I don't know what anyone's problem, but I know why Stan Lee did it. I heard his reasoning for the web shooters. It was supposed to be something that could go wrong for Peter Parker. So he had to, and he was a smart guy, a smart kid. So he was a scientist. He developed his own web and da 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 da. But sometimes he could run out in the heat of battle. And that was a character thing that's
Right.
wanted in the book. That's why he designed it that way. But
Right.
hearing a director say, this makes sense though. The fans are pissed off about it, but I'm a fan of Spider-Man. So as I'm watching, I'm like, I mean, you could be mad, but it makes sense. The boy makes sense. It makes sense. Keep going. I like it so far. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna do with Popeye characters. I don't want to offend, the fans by saying I'm gonna change it just for the sake of changing it. If I insert anything new or if I allow character growth in these characters, it should feel like it makes sense at the same time. But it's a reboot. So, the real one still exists, the old one still exists. You can still enjoy those. I'm a huge fan of everything that came before, but I'm also a huge fan of anime. The writers of that content make sure to keep you attached to these characters, who they are. And then they insert new problems, new growth potential, and new, issues. That's why you can get 1,000+ episodes out of Naruto and One Piece and Dragon Ball Z for 20+ years. But it's still, the fans are like, I want more. I want more. Goku has died 7 times. I still want more. I don't care. Let's keep
Right.
going. Yeah. So it should feel like that. Popeye was our Goku. We didn't know it because we didn't have anything else to compare him to.
And
That's what,
I'm
yeah.
gonna touch on that in a sec. But
Yeah.
I want to address Imani Latif's question. Will the book
Yeah.
feature historical facts about Whaler Joe?
Will it
As
feature
information?
historical facts? In the book, I assume you're asking.
Yeah.
Uh, so the cool thing is the job that Whaler Joe had. When they mentioned it to me, they said it was a job that only African Americans had, and I have to go back and double check with them. He was he looks like a boats person, right? He has the overalls and he has a ship captain's hat. But the job that he had, they mentioned when they told me about Whaler Joe, they said it was a job that only African Americans had at the time. So I'm gonna go and fact check that. That's absolutely gonna be in the book because he influenced Popeye during that time. So yeah, and you can see him on the boat in this panel, one of the panels to the right here. So he has a boat. I'm gonna double check what kind of job he had. I'm gonna look into that, and yeah, it's gonna show up. But here's based on that question though, that's the kind of thing to say. I had no idea what the hell a tugboat captain does in real life. So I actually watched like several videos about that because I want Popeye as this. If let's put it this way, I'm gonna draw this story. This story arc is heavily featured on it has a beginning, middle, and end about what's gonna happen in these 5 issues. After this, though, or even in the middle of, I'm going to try to insert things that no one has, seen Popeye do. Wake up on a ship, because both like tugboat captains are real. They actually do like real work. And I watched a video. They sleep on that boat. They wake up on that boat. They have staff on that boat, and they go do work every day, eat, cook, and go back to sleep after doing their job. I was like, oh, this is crazy. I'm gonna put this in there for fans of, people. I'm sure they're probably fans of Popeye. The people that really are doing that job probably are fans of Popeye or was influenced to do something like that to their family or whatever. And I guarantee if they don't got a Popeye tattoo, I'm sure somebody in their family was like, oh man, Popeye was a tugboat captain, just like your daddy, something like that. So anything where I can put in it and it's based on some real stuff, yes, that's the Tuskegee Heirs kind of theme. That's just brings weight and texture to the character as well. But I want it to feel believable. So he does have a tugboat business in the first issue. The first 10 pages you see Popeye's tugboat business. I think on page 2. So
one of the things that you mentioned was Naruto and One Piece.
Mhm.
And it's funny you mentioned that because literally as I'm reading this, those are the vibes I'm getting from the story.
Yes.
I mean, you have the big bad in the very first issue.
Yeah.
Looked like it came and the situation of him being on the boat and his big bad comes out the water, and it's like I literally feel like I'm watching an episode of One Piece. And then your artistic style, you're clearly influenced by anime and manga.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you talk about that a little bit, the influences of that on your art
Oh
style?
yeah, man. Yeah. So it's as a young artist in high school, I think I learned the most from Joe Madureira. He was a penciler and artist on X-Men
Right.
during my years in high school. And I was able to buy comics at that point. I had a little money. I was doing little jobs here and there. But yeah, that's the influence Joe Madureira had on me was he was influenced by Eastern, manga art, and he infused that with Western comics. So his style is very much apparent as well in my table of influence. So I did the same thing. So I'm now researching and I'm a student of manga. I just look, I'm not playing. I ain't playing with y'all. Look, this is real. Like I'm actually going to be putting homage pages, from this stuff. This was before. So Japanese people will do dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of chapters of comic. This is way before the cartoon ever comes out. They sell the crap out of these to determine, is there a fan base for this? Is this what y'all want? Y'all like this? And they put it in Shonen Jump, which is a magazine. And Dragon Ball was killing it, the comic. And if you don't know how much of an influence Dragon Ball Z had on the world, you ever heard this guy named Sonic the Hedgehog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 did not have Chaos Emeralds in it. There was no 7 Chaos Emeralds. That was the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. He didn't turn into Super Sonic. If you look at the dates and go Google it, the actual artists and creators on Sonic the Hedgehog were reading the manga of where this is the book where Goku turns into a Super Saiyan. This came out when the people were developing Sonic the Hedgehog. The people that were working on the game were reading that book. And they were like, "Oh, that's dope." So he like turns gold, and his eyes. Oh, he collected all the Dragon Balls. Cool. Dragon Balls, 7 Dragon Balls. Goes Super Saiyan, gold hair. You know what I'm saying? And just invincible. That's why Sonic started that whole trend. That was how influential, amazingly influential that was. The comic, though, the cartoon didn't come out until later. But Japanese people were done with Dragon Ball Z. By the time it came to Toonami here in America, that was around the same time on Cartoon Network. Toonami showed Dragon Ball Z to America, but Japanese people were like, "Oh, y'all just now watching that? Oh, that was years ago." They were done with the whole series. Dragon Ball Z was finished. So that's how cool the comics are used in Japan as a foundational thing to say, do fans want it? They do. They buy the comics, and then they actually make the cartoon. But they go page for page. They use the pages of the comic almost like storyboards. So that's now I'm a student of Japanese comic artists and creators. And so, if you didn't know, man, you can Google it. It says that the staff working on Sonic the Hedgehog was like, "Oh my God, this is dope. Let's put that in our game." And so that's where you get Sonic, Supersonic. But yeah, watching anime now, man, it has spoiled me as a fan of story writing. It's hard. It was hard to watch X-Men 97 because the artists and the creators and the people on that staff are absolute fans of anime. But the problem, and I just said this today, the problem with American production is they choose to make a cartoon and let's see if it's successful. They'll spend millions of dollars and let's see if the fans like it. But they only get 12 episodes or 8 episodes to do it. So the story is truncated like hell. And so I was trying to watch it and enjoy it because I'm a huge X-Men fan. And I was like, why are they moving so fast? Slow down. Slow down. I like Wolverine. No, you just get to say, all right. And Jean's already the Goblin Queen and this, that. And I'm like, come on, man, slow down. I love the show, but I was struggling from episode 1 to 4. If you watch any of the popular anime, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, all of these, it's like I'm coming up. Dungeon Meshi on Netflix, right? Premises that shouldn't even be cool. That one shouldn't even be cool. It's literally like a fantasy thing. You have like fantasy characters, a human, an elf, a goblin, a dwarf, and a halfling are doing fantasy stuff. They're in a dungeon, they're fighting monsters. But the twist is the dwarf character is like a professional chef. So when they run out of food, they got to cook the monsters they kill, right? It shouldn't be cool. But guess what, man? That show is dope. If you haven't seen it, go watch it on Netflix. And I'm like, me and my kids are tuning. I'm like, why is this good? This should be lame by all accounts. Why is this so good?
I gotta add that to my very extensive Netflix list. What's the name of the show again?
Dungeon Meshi or Beautiful. Is it Beautiful Dungeon? I think the translation, Beautiful Dungeon. I want to say. It's on Netflix. They have, God, I don't know how many episodes they have, but Japanese people don't. Again, you're seeing the animated series on Netflix. The comic has been going for years.
Right.
Delicious Dungeon. That's
Delicious
what
Dungeon.
It is.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Dungeon Meshi, I think is the Japanese name or something like that. But yeah, Delicious Dungeon. It by all definition, the premise alone be like, what? That's dumb. But the character development, the action, the storytelling is dope. And I keep saying this, but they can make a story about a toothbrush being sentient, and it would probably be dope. Like, this old school toothbrush has to contend with modern day battery toothbrushes, and they fight. And as dumb as they had one called I Got Reincarnated as a Vending Machine. I'm not joking.
That was good. I loved that one. That was amazing.
Do you hear what she's saying, y'all? Did you hear the title I just said? I was reincarnated as a vending machine. That's the real title. And did you hear her feedback? I love that joint. That should be not possible to say. So what is it called? No, we're not doing that, dog. That sounds dumb. It's sold comics, y'all, because the story and the character development, they are masters at it. As stupid as that sounds, it was good. You know what I mean? And it's meant to be goofy. Some of them are meant to be goofy, but
Yeah, I think
because the way they do stories and character, that's what I'm a student of now. So yes, all that to say, I'm doing exactly what Joe Mad did, both artistically and as a writer now. Because I don't know if Joe had control of the writing. He did Battle Chasers, but I don't know if his passion. I'm trying to be a student of all of it because I want Tuskegee Heirs to come out with the same level of care. Like, I'm not going to settle for any fast story. I want to build the characters. I want to build the world. I want everybody to love the characters the same way Japanese people do their stories. It's this, they care about the character development. So yeah.
I had one last question I want to ask back on the Popeye from C. Cole.
Yeah.
Deal with the toxic fanboys and the anti-diversity crew. His story, referring to Whaler Joe, needs to be there along with the fact the creator back then wanted to use him, so there is no pushback. Are you going to have some type of letters from the editor or letter from you in the book where you explain sort of the history of Whaler Joe and where it came from to sort of
It's,
nip that in the bud?
I would love, I can absolutely have that conversation with the publisher. To have it in the back, have it ready to go. Here's the problem. You ready?
Yeah.
Those type of people don't read.
They sure don't.
You can tell it's cognitive dissonance on 20. You could show them what you showed on this screen right here. 1922, they're like, who's the source? Who's the source? I don't believe it. No, it's obviously woke propaganda. Let's do, and they'll come, they don't read anything. I can have it at the top of the book, featuring a character designed by they don't read, dog. But I would definitely love that in the back of the book, just to validate, just to show, I'm paying homage to, I'm literally doing something that the creator wanted. And this is now able to be in the book. But pushback is,
inevitable.
one of my most pirated images to date is my Nubia back to back with Diana piece. I did my version of Nubia. After the first Wonder Woman movie came out, and I posted it online. It went viral. Everyone liked it. But what happened was after the movie came out and that artwork went viral, a lot of news sites, just websites that were publishing news. Did you know that Wonder Woman had a black twin sister? That was the title. They reached out to me one after the other saying, can we use your art for this, for this article? I'm like, sure, as long as you tag me, I'm cool. And the pushback that Cole is talking about, it was just as viral. You need to push. Why can't they create their own Wonder Woman? Why do they have to ruin Wonder Woman like that? And the whole article was educating people that it was titled, "Did you know that she had a sister?" It wasn't, look what this artist did, this is crazy. No, the article was about Nubia's origins in DC Comics 1973. Did you know? And it had images from the original book. They don't read jack. They just saw Black Nubia in a Wonder Woman costume, and that's all they went with. They did not read the article. Right. So the pushback in the comment, I read them. I was like, sheesh, bruh, read it. Did you read it? No. And those articles they did really well. It's the most pirated piece of art that I've ever created. Cool thing is, a lady showed up to a convention, and it was a cutout of just Nubia. They cut the background out, and they put like Bible verses alongside of her. I was like, oh, so like a religious thief. This is dope. Oh, and she didn't know. She didn't know that I did that work. I was like, that's my art. She's like, oh my God, are you sure? I was like, I am. Here's the poster. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I was like, baby, don't worry about it. I said, hustle man is gonna hustle. I said, I'm just glad that it's a religious thief on this one. I appreciate, the effort, because they had like John chapter 3. I was like, cool. That's cool. That's interesting. He thought hard on that. What would work with this stolen piece of art? So
you mentioned pirated work, and I see the T-shirt that you have on. Yes. Do you sell those shirts on your website, Marcus Division?
I'm trying to get away from selling stuff on my website, I'm gonna create an app,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be uploaded to a news store. So I'm reluctant. What happened is I used to sell a lot of these fan art pieces on a website called rageon.com,
Mhm.
and Shopify was in bed with rageon.com. They used to be, Shopify offered the tools that let artists like me put my art on shirts, and then Rageon would sell the shirts and stuff. Um, Something happened. They, got divorced. Shopify created their own web pages, and all of my designs got taken away from that site. So I had like over 100 designs. I was filling it up every time I do something new. I'd create a new T-shirt. Da da da. Um, I'm gonna slowly upload new shirts to this app that I'm gonna be releasing. So that's the goal for designs like this and things. I'm gonna do an art book as well. So I'm gonna do 3 art books before the end of the year. Um, One is gonna be character design. Another is going to be fan art stories, and the other one's Swaptober. Swaptober has been going on since 2015. So all the art is done. I don't have to do anything new. I just got to lay out books. But a lot of this stuff is going to show up on my app, not my website. My website, I'm just going to have like, who am I stuff? What do I do with the, no, I don't want to be hired by you. Just, this is who I am. Download the app if you want stuff. That's the goal.
Well, when you do that, you're gonna have to let us know because
Oh, I'm a plaster it everywhere because the goal is to drain the swamp. As an artist and creator, what just happened recently on Instagram is going to keep happening, where they're like, "Hey, we're going to use all of the stuff you post to teach AI, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, you can opt out, but not really." So people started making tutorials on how to opt out, and Instagram changed it. In those whatever they was doing in those tutorials, Instagram was like, "Well, shit, take that off. We don't, nope, psych. Not in North America. You can opt out over there, but not here. If you keep using the app, they're gonna take your art and they're gonna feed it to AI and train their model with it." So I'm like, the problem with having social media is you can't control what those companies do with your entire post. You by proxy, you agree to the terms when you download the app that whatever they want to do with that, they can, and so this is a great example. So people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna get off Instagram," and I'm still gonna use social media, but I have to create my own branded app. So I'll promote on Instagram, I'll promote on YouTube and TikToks and all that, but I'm gonna have a place where all my branded stuff is gonna be sold, and I can control it. If I want to change my terms of service, that's fine, but can't control Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any of these things. So
yep,
yeah.
that's why we have a website too.
Yes, indeed.
Speaking of your art that keeps getting pirated, probably some of your most pirated art is all the work that you've done on Storm.
Yeah.
You are known as the Storm guy. Your visuals on Storm are
Thank you.
quite honestly better than
Am I known as a storm guy? Who
I
says
think.
that?
I think considering how much her image of
Yeah.
that you've done pops up on the internet,
Yeah. And
I think that's kind of a thing.
cool. Angel, is
Um,
that true? Is that the stuff you say behind my back? And Marcus is the storm guy.
That's the stuff that a lot of people say
Oh,
when you're not in the room.
okay, good. See, again, they don't tell me that. I've never heard that. Marcus, you're the storm guy. They don't come tell me that.
which is why I hope
I'm okay with it though.
I would love to somehow get you hooked up. I do a cover on the new Storm series coming out by Mario
Oh yeah.
Ayodele.
Yeah, and what if I learn anything, man, I know that they see my work. That's how I
Yeah,
got the jobs I got. They see the work.
right.
They have, people that scout. And so yeah, I would love that. I would love that. I'm gonna sneak in any will the app be available this year? That's pressure. I love that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because it's been a long time coming, but I had a great conversation with a gentleman at the show that we were at, Paul. Um, and he just simplified it. He's like, stop complicating it, man. Just you don't need that. You don't need that. I was like, damn it. You're right, man. What was I thinking? I need to just go ahead and do it. A lot of the things that I thought I needed, he's like, he showed me his app. He was like, nah, just do this, and it will absolutely help get it sooner. if not this year, much sooner. Because I want it to be, unique. I want bells and whistles eventually, but just to get it out, I can definitely do something
I
this
mean,
year.
Manifesto asked if you're the first one to portray Storm with locks.
I don't know. I don't
I know.
know. I need a historian for that. If that's true, I'd love to have that on my belt. But I need like a comic historian to be like, nope, she's never had locks. In any books. I don't know. Maybe how comics draw, locks and textured hair. It'd be weird. Like you don't know if it's really a
Right.
style. It's just they did it because it looked like textured hair or something.
I don't
But
know if I ever seen her with locks before yours. Come to
I'd
think
love
of it.
that. Yeah, help me figure that
Now
out.
I
That'd be
read a
cool.
lot of comic books. I have
Yeah.
thousands of
Yes.
comics, and I'm thinking I don't know that I've seen her with locks before you.
I would put
couldn't
that
find
on a shirt for real.
I
Like,
couldn't find the picture you showed me at the con that you had of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was like the hardest damn Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle image I've ever seen in my entire life.
which one?
But it kind of had the vibe of these ones that we have
Yeah.
at the top here, the old ninjas. But God, I wish I'd contacted you and asked you to produce that to me.
Yeah.
You made the dopest TMNT image I've ever seen in my life. It was
Okay.
just, it was hard.
Cool. Cool. I don't know what you're talking about, but I listen, I believe you if it happens.
Now, this is what I want to
I
talk
draw too
about.
much.
So,
Yes.
going through these styles, we have this
Mhm.
style, right?
Mhm.
And this is what I don't think people appreciate about your art
Mm.
until they go meet you at a con and thumb through your portfolio.
Right.
And
I draw a lot, man.
I started this show pointing out that I can look at a Marcus Williams piece of art and immediately identify that's Marcus Williams. And this is like the most common style, but you actually have several styles that people may not even realize
Yes.
because you can see the difference between this
Mhm.
and what you have here. And you can see the difference between this and this. This is the stuff that I saw at the con that just blew me away. Like,
Cool.
I didn't even know you were doing art like this.
I do too much, man. I really do. People do be thinking I'm joking. I forgot that I did a poster with a young version of um this God, her name. She has several names. Monica Rambeau. I did a picture like when the movie came out, Captain Marvel, and it was the young version of Monica Rambeau. I did a poster after that movie. I forgot I did it. That's how much I draw. And
Mm.
someone was like, "Hey, do you have that one with Monica Rambeau?" I was like, "What you talking about?" Well, here's all the ones I did. I was like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, yeah, that's not in my profile. Let me print that out real quick." But it's for real. I really draw too much. But these are like the one in green. That's a digital warm up. People don't believe me when I say it's a warm up because I do it within under 3 hours. By all definition, that's qualified as a warm up because most of the work that I do can take longer than that. But yeah, if it's done between 1 and 3 hours, that's like I'm practicing because I'm not trying to be careful. I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm not trying to make it, you know, Keisha says shea butter glow. That is true. I try to keep that in there. That's true, Keisha.
Got it.
That shea
So
butter glow is real, but I try to be
everything.
accurate to what Black women are.
Yeah.
And so, but just these, I have a lot of these I've never posted, you know, just because I practice and I do it for myself. I may
Um,
post it or I may not.
as an aside,
Yeah.
when you put the app up with your merch on there,
Yeah.
make sure you have the sizes for our larger brothers like myself available.
I
Just
will
if you
do
would.
I will do my best. I will do my best. Yeah, the good thing is I think they go up to 3x. People got mad at me. What 4x? Listen, bruh, I don't know. I don't know. You got to contact the manufacturer. But no, the styles change.
Look
Is
at this.
yeah.
This is crazy.
Well, I did portraits for 4 years. That's something that that was before the comics or after. I did portraits for 4 years. Yeah, it was way before the comics. It was before my daughter was born. 4 years
These
straight.
images look like they're done by two different artists.
Right. On purpose though, right? That's
Yeah.
because I say it's the Bruce Lee approach to it. As an illustrator, my job is to say yes as often as possible. So if someone says, "Can you draw Snoopy in Snoopy Charlie Brown style?" I have to say yes, even though I may have never drawn Snoopy or Charlie Brown. I need to be able to look at a style. This is what got me the job with Powerpuff Girls back in the day, right? As an illustrator, I need to say I can do any style, and that's a very hard thing for a lot of artists to do because they get stuck in a style, their style, my style, and the whole time you get the most work by saying I can draw anything you need. You know, what is it? It's all lines, it's all shapes, it's the same concepts, but style is like martial arts, which is can you switch up based on the circumstance?
Right.
So I studied every art that I can. Cartooning is the jazz of art because it's based on understanding everything about rendering what you see, but cartooning a character like the Incredibles, you know, the daughter has a pencil waist this big and her head is huge. You know what I'm saying? So or Mr. Incredible's face looks like a cutout, you know, but it works in 3D space and somehow it's not offensive because it's either funny, it's scary, it's pushed and distorted to get a reaction. So that's the cool thing about it. And it's really, really dope to get as many styles. So anime, people think anime is one style. It's not. There's tons and tons of styles within manga and anime. But the consensus is, you know, it's character driven content. Right. Do you feel something when you look at these characters? That's the one thread that connects all styles in anime to me. They can elicit emotional content through these very simple-faced characters, you know.
Right.
And that's
you know we call that? We call that what this video is entitled. We specifically labeled it Marcus Williams, the legendary storyteller. Not the legendary artist, writer, comic creator.
I'll take it.
Specified storyteller.
I'll take it.
Because your art tells stories. I'm looking at the sister's face and I'm hearing a whole scene just on the expression from the little side eye.
Nice.
The gloss on the lipstick, the way the hair is, the texture of the hair, perfect, on point. The glow of the skin. That's a whole story, right? That's a whole vibe.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a Spider-Punk over here.
Yeah.
And I'm already hearing the music. And you've got the colors and the two different shades of colors.
Yeah.
And you can hear the frenetic music playing in the background as you're looking at this image. And I'm going, "Whoa, bro!" You could tell you, right? Like I hear his voice and I'm hearing the music as I'm looking at this picture, and that's storytelling.
Nice.
And that's what you are, brother. It's incredible.
That's the job, and to me, that's the job. If I fail at that, then the piece, I don't post the picture, and people think I've seen these comments. This is not my words. Marcus never misses. You know, in the comments, I'm like, no, I do. I just don't post those. If it's not effective, if I don't hit that mark, right? If it doesn't make me feel what you just described, I don't post it. You know, I have misses and I get frustrated sometimes. Like, that's not what I want. I'll come back to it. And I have storm pictures that I was going through my hard drive, and I was like, what's wrong with this one? Why didn't I post this? This isn't that bad. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what happened? What didn't go right? Why didn't I post this? So I have a lot of images like that, and I'm going through like, it's not that bad. I mean, I can tweak this. I put a little lighting on it. It's pretty good. It looked pretty good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And I don't know when I did it. I'm like, this is pretty good. But for whatever reason at the time, I wasn't satisfied with it. It didn't hit. It didn't do what you just described. It didn't tell the story. It didn't have the feeling through it. So, yeah. You can get this one. You can get, somebody asked if I was on IG. Yes. Marcus the Visual is my IG. And
I Manifesto says the Spider-Punk looks like a blacklight poster.
Nice.
Fact.
Yeah, that's true.
On black velvet
Yeah.
Start
Nice.
selling these on black velvet
I will look
as a
into it.
Black poster.
I will look into it. Yeah, the goal was to do a whole cast
1974
of
style.
these color characters. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so this is one our brother Richard loves on the left. I think we talked
Yeah.
about it at the con from the
Yeah.
movie
Soul.
Soul. Yeah,
Yeah.
he loves this picture.
Yes.
Also did some work on Brother Man. This cover for Brother Man.
Yeah, man. Dawood is the man. I just ran into him walking around Stone Mountain. That's the homie right there. That's a Jedi Master. If y'all don't know who Dawood is, Aniwable, um, brilliant artist, man. Brilliant comic artist. He was selling comics before the internet, black and white. It was dope. Big fan of his. So yeah, I got to do this fan piece for him. Yeah, that's the homie right there.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, I think every brother has come across this scene on the left in a barbershop.
Yeah.
We all know this dude. All
Yes.
of us know this dude.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of your Nubia,
Yeah. And these
I
aren't
think
these aren't designs from DC. This is me again. That's not Icon's suit currently. These are
have you
as a
ever
kid.
done work for DC?
I did a static cover for issue 4 of
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
I've done so that, and I did they contact Warner Brothers had me do a piece for San Diego Comic-Con. They were doing a after party at San Diego Comic-Con. I didn't go, but they was like, "Can you do a poster showing all the black, DC superheroes having a party?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So I did that one year. So but yeah, not any. I haven't done any interiors yet. But as a character designer, I love Icon, I love Nubia, but it's like, if it's weird to say, I get kind of frustrated when I see some of the designs. I'm like, "Ugh, that's not pushing it. That ain't hitting. It should be flattering. It should still pay homage to his original suit. It should be fly. You know what I'm saying? If he shows up in the scene, it should still be fresh and clean."
And I noticed that all of your women are always covered in shea butter. Clearly, all their skin glows. Like
Come on, man. Come on
you
now.
got black women skin just looking like gold in the sun.
Yeah, no, I think that's again, if you look at comics and you look at Storm and you look at black characters in current day comics, man, the frustrating thing is Storm has gone through every shade.
Yeah,
Um, all the way to light skin. Like you're like, is she black in this one? Did they turn her white? And it's like, come on, man, that's an African woman. That's an African woman. She's of African descent directly. She's Kenyan. Her mom was Kenyan. So it's like, if I can do anything, I'm gonna definitely put that as like I said, a running theme is, what does your character, feel like? So my art I'm hoping to elicit the feeling of familiarity to people that love and appreciate black women and their skin and thereof. You know what I'm saying? So
the
that's the
hair.
goal. With the reason I do that is because I'm not creating this. Go look at pictures of black women on these things. It's all over the place, but it's not shown for comic characters. It's not shown for our fictional characters, and it's because, unfortunately, I was gonna say, if a white artist is drawing it, they may not appreciate black skin, but it also happens with black artists. There are black artists that do not like black women, and it
Mm.
comes through in the art. If you don't love black women and black skin and black hair, it's going to come out in your art. Not so directly as saying, I hate black women. It's just gonna show. Like, they got some rough looking black women in some Wakanda books, man. I'm like, what happened? Nobody is quality checking. Why should, and they look dry. For real. That's the best way I can say it. That's the
Marcus
best
Williams
way I can
talking
say it,
about
bro.
ashiness in Wakanda. That's gonna
Listen,
go viral. The
listen, this is
ashiness.
constructive criticism. They look dry. And
They
I'm like,
forgot the cocoa butter.
right. I'm like, you in Wakanda? That don't make sense. There's no reason. That's a brilliant, vibrant African fictional city and state or whatever country. How are they dry, bruh? Why they look rough? Why their skin look dry? So that's exactly Ash Wakandans hashtag. But
That's
listen, I have qualms with that. I have a problem with that, you know. And so I'm looking at the art, and there's nobody saying like there needs to be an art director that just like they have an editor, there needs to be a final art director that says, "Mm, hey, I was looking through the pages, bruh.
It
Do you know
doesn't
what?
meet our
Yeah,
moisturization
exactly. Do you know what shea butter is? No? Yeah, I'm gonna send you some pictures of some shea butter women. And then let them, oh, the colorist can probably fix it. I don't know. But this is gonna be as often as I can. I'm gonna show and pay homage with it, and because I appreciate it. I love it. It's I every chance I get. Storm is covered in shea butter for sure, on purpose. So yeah, that's a goal. That's a goal. Yeah, this one was fun.
got our brothers looking like superheroes, looking
Right.
regal. Got
Right.
our Kangs looking like Kangs.
Right. This one was easy for me though. This is again fan fiction. I'm just looking in my mind, and I always Google before I do stuff like this. I'm like, did anyone ever draw Zamunda and Wakanda? Yeah, they're two fictional African, countries. And I looked at the spelling, and I looked at the concept. You got a prince, you got a king, and they both wealthy as crap. I'm like, Zamunda, if you watch the movie, they have colonizer influences. They're wearing suits and stuff. But still, I'm like, why not have a king? How hard would it be to say that a king had that beautiful leopard suit? His king, the dad had the king, the lion,
Yeah.
yeah, over his shoulder. I'm like, dude, just give him another, rare metal as well. And so, how easy would it be to write a story like this? And I can't wait for Marvel to do stuff, man. I'm sorry. So I wrote the whole thing. Like, T'Challa was trying to get access back into Wakanda. He needed help. He stumbled upon Zamunda and asked for some help, and yeah, it's easy. Easy stuff. Easy
I
stuff.
cannot wait for you to release your fan art book.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can do
Yeah.
stuff like this, man, because
The crazy part about that is it's like there's no other way for me to release those stories.
right.
Because I had somebody say, well, just put it on the back of the poster. I was like, sir, if you hang the poster up in a frame, how you gonna read it? It's on the wall.
Exactly.
It's on the wall, man. It's facing the wall, bro. Well, what you could do is you can have like a hanging frame. I was like, listen, if you going through all that, somebody got to read it. What they gonna do? Get on a step ladder? I said it's some of them are paragraphs long. I'm like, no, can't do that. So an art book would allow me to put, the images and the actual text, and because one image can have 3 to 4 paragraphs, and I'll do like seven images. So
Kevin Pitts wants to know where's the next con you're attending and how.
I'll be in New York Comic Con.
New York. All right.
Not an artist alley. I'm gonna be in the vendor hall. I didn't get into artist alley this year, but I'm gonna be in the building. Look, I'll post information about where I'm at as soon as I get there. We set up. But yeah, New York Comic Con is that. Bitterroot is dope. That's what's up. I got to do this cover. It didn't get on the front of a book. It was inside the graphic novel. So
okay. So I was gonna ask you about that because I was doing research for this, pulling up images for this, and Derek came across this image, and I'm like, I have never seen that Bitterroot cover, and now I must have it because I'm upset.
There you go.
Because I'm a Black comic lord, I should know about the Bitterroot cover that looks like Mark Williams, and my street cred was about to be challenged.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Okay, so this is
I went to their table looking for it. I'm like, where my cover at, dog? Oh, it's inside the graphic novel, and they flip to it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Let me get the graphic novel.
How the hell was this not put on the cover of one of the books?
Hey, man, I don't know the politics, man. You're gonna have to talk to Sanford. You're gonna have to talk to the people. And again, man, pitchforks and torches, whatever you got to do, complain.
Oh,
Complain to your local publishers that deal with it. But no,
This
I
is
know where
fantastic.
Supernatural is actually going to come out in a digital format. The physical books will be sent out to the people that back the Kickstarter. But I don't want to publish traditionally with Supernatural. The problem is publishing for a decade has taught me I don't want my stories to have to be locked into linear storytelling. It's something that's I think kind of on the edge, and it's very experimental, which is in comics you have to print issue 1, issue 2, issue 3 to tell your story because it is episodic. Issues go linearly that way. I want to tell stories a little bit different. And publishing it's a frustrating thing because if you want to tell something that happened before issue 1, you have to publish at issue 0. That's thousands more dollars you have to do. And if you want to do a off branching story from that issue 1, but you're farther along in the story, you now have to publish another book to tell that story. And I want to use the digital tools in my app that allow me to tell stories differently. Because it's not just, if I can use it that way, you get the story, but it's going to be a notification in the app and it's going to be update to chapter whatever. But it's not, I have to print a whole new book. So that's something I've been really reeling in my head. I can publish it just like everything else. I am gonna make a physical book for Supernatural, but it's this that's one of those things I was like, nah, I don't want to be pigeonholed as a storyteller because that's something. No, it's not too late to buy it. It's not too late. It's coming out with the app. That part's easy. That's the easy part because literally it's just it's a paywall. You get the book, you get the access to the store, you get sign up for notifications every time a new story or a new chapter comes out. It's just a notification, and you hit the button, open the app, and you get to read it. So, but again, the thing that changed with Supernatural is I had a book and a concept ready to go. The Kickstarter, everything went great, but I changed. I grew as a creator. I grew as a writer. I grew as an artist. I don't want to just create entertainment. And that's what the story was. It was just a cool looking character. I had the story. It wasn't shallow story, but it was just once you read through the story, when's the next one come out? And what changed in me as an individual and as a writer and as a artist is I want to actually impact people. I want to say after you read that first book, there's real things that you can get out of it. There's real things that you can actually use in your life to help, people that and there's tools in there. There's things that you can get out of the book. There's domestic violence in there. There's problems with police in there. A lot of cool stuff in the story that I was excited about, but I didn't have these tools inserted into the book. So I stopped. I was like, I don't want to just put out entertainment. That's a lot of comics. You make a character, it gets, even if the character's cool. Spider Gwen came out. Cool character. Visually cool. It took the comic world by storm. She was just a featurette in one of the Spider-Verse books. Comics at the time. Dope character. Turns out it worked out for the guy who created the person who created it because she showed up in the movie eventually, right? But the original thing and her stories, it was just another character. Dress up another person in spider, clothes, and she lost somebody and now she fights as a spider. And I'm like, I don't want that. Supernatural needs to be something that's my swan song to comics for real. I will leave comics in a happy way when that story comes out because that's what I'll say. I don't give a damn if you're upset, offended. I don't care what I'm putting my heart as a creator into that character and that story, and it's for a purpose. If you don't get it, I'm sorry. I don't care though. But the people that do, it's gonna hopefully resonate for the next 20, 30 years. And again, I'm a student of Japanese writers, man. Why the hell is Goku still popular? Why is One Piece, after 20 years, the best-selling comic in the world? Why? Like, the animation is dope, but that's not why fans are so passionate about Luffy. He's not just an entertaining character. He has so much heart poured into that's those stories and those all the things he's gone through. But yeah, it's on purpose, So that's that for real. That's my swan song. I'm gonna let the world know I'm done. When that comes out, there's only a choice few stories I'll work on in comics after Supernatural. Because it won't be about money anymore. I'll be like, nigga, I did it. That's it. Let that go. Yeah. But it's people get frustrated because comics is such an insatiable thing. And it's like you pour 6 months into it, they read it in 15 minutes. Oh man, that was dope. When the next one? Hey man, read it again. Okay. Make all the sound effects, which like read it again. Make the voices when you read it next time. Like take your time, Brad. You went too fast. But that's the nature of comics. It's episodic and it's like you digest it and it's like, oh, that was cool. So when's the next one? It's like if you told somebody that ran a triathlon, right? And they crossed the finish line. Oh, that was great. You did so good. So what's your next triathlon? Huh? Hey man, I'm going home. I want to go rest. I want to go and breathe. And I don't know. Stop asking me questions. It took a lot of effort to get here. So comics is just designed that way. And Marvel and DC as a business, they feed that insatiability. It's coming out next month. It's coming out next month. It's coming out. I'm not Marvel and I'm not DC. So this is something that I love. The character, and it turned into something way more than it initially was. So I understand the frustration. I refunded a lot of people from the Kickstarter. People that asked for the refund, I gave it to them. I'm like, listen, my apologies. I just don't want to put out entertainment only. So I changed. I grew.
Well, speaking about Marvel,
Get them. Yeah.
Here's some Miles work that you did.
Yeah.
Why does this look better than his current costume?
Come on, man.
Right?
Come on now. Listen.
They tried to redesign Miles like a year or two ago and gave him this god awful salmon colored, I don't know if it was faded red salmon, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Sweatshirt that zipped all the way up, covering half.
Oh, yeah.
All the way up.
Mhm.
And it just no, I don't know if anybody really liked that outfit. It got a lot of love. It got a lot of love. I mean,
they made the shoes from that design. That's the dude. That's
the shoes were on point. I like the shoes.
Right.
I think Miles should be wearing sneakers because he's from Brooklyn as a kid. That makes sense.
Yeah, man.
But this version is the version that I would have liked to have seen in the comics when
I have to look. I'm biased. I agree with you, sir. I agree with you.
Did you ever try to show this to Marvel and say, "Hey, Marvel,
no,
your version's trash. Here's the best version."
So again, I'm a character designer. This was not commissioned by anybody. This is me, just designing. I'm a character designer. So I'm always doing this in my head. I'm like, it'll be dope. And I see the concepts, but I was at a show while doing this. I was in New Orleans, New Orleans.
And you were looking at Marvel's trash version. You're like,
I don't listen. I see it. I see the suits they come up with. So the one before this is I did a Miles Venom outfit. That's after the first movie came out, and I was just sketching on my iPad, and I was like, it'd be dope if Miles had a Venom suit. And I designed that just on a whim, right? And went to sleep, posted it, and went to sleep. Came back, and
now we have an issue that came out last week called Aliens versus Avengers, and there's a Miles Venom.
Yeah, Miles has been infected by the symbiote.
Yeah,
it's like Marvel stealing from you.
No, listen.
Which leads to my little segue. My little segue.
Here's how. Yeah, see here. This is, and I love this design, man.
You get the design to the left. Called the Brown Recluse.
Yes.
I have the date here, January 14, 2022.
That is correct.
Hello, Miles. We need to talk. This could have been Miles's new boo.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I had in my mind.
They're gonna kill Starling at some point. Spoiler alert for y'all who read Miles. Starling's not gonna be here much longer.
Nice.
So I'm like, oh, that's dope. And then doing research for this, I saw this design. I'm like, Brown Recluse.
Yeah.
Black woman, spider, powers. I swear I saw that before.
Yeah.
And then I
Mhm.
realized a year later, Marvel releases
Yeah.
their character, Recluse. Now, notice the braid on the back of her head.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Notice this braid. Look at the braid on your
I
brown
like how he sounds
Recluse.
like a prosecutor. You know, he said, notice Exhibit A.
It's
Both black
evidence.
women,
It's
both
overwhelming.
Right.
spider powers,
Right.
both have the same braid, both have the name Recluse,
Yeah.
and both created within a year of each other.
There you go.
Coincidence?
I think not.
Listen.
Marvel, as you said, Marcus, Marvel knows what you do.
They do.
They see what you do.
They do.
That's how you got work from them.
Yeah.
What upsets me is they see your work and they go to someone else and say, "Yeah, I need something like this. Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead and make something like that.
Right.
Why don't you just hire Marcus?" No, just
They would have to pay me. They would have to pay me.
That-
Not
that-
oh here.
that's
Well,
the
well,
rub.
let me help you. Let me help you. If they said to me, Marcus, we like your design, it's different than them hiring an artist to design and draw it. Because
version of Spider-Man.
they have to buy the rights. They have to,
IP.
yes, this is
Thank you
my
for saying that.
design. Marvel doesn't own it yet. They would have to say, we like yours. Can we use it? And if we use it, we own it.
Right.
Right. Different from hiring me as an artist saying, can you know, we need a spider person. You can design it. You know, they don't have to pay me anymore to design it. I'm an artist working for Marvel designing a character. It's all in the payment and it's not a lot. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying I'm going to pay you for the art and then I'm going to pay you and then credit you as the creator of this version. No, you can design a character in art in Marvel and get credit. Yes, but they don't have to pay you to own it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if they use something that already was designed and exists, they have to pay me for that version and that design because they're paying to own it. They
I
didn't.
think
Yeah.
all creators know that if you're
Mhm.
doing work for the big two,
Yes.
it's work for hire. It's pay for hire. So
Mhm.
if you create a dope character, no matter how dope it is, you're not going to own that IP.
Right.
But what upsets me about this is
Mhm.
they skip the paying you part to do the character. And that bothers me. That bothers
Well,
me.
listen, you can't be mad at them. I can't be mad at them because it's so much easier just to
Yeah.
make their own version of it. And I don't own anything about Spider-Man. I'm just doing my own fan art, my own fan stuff. Now, since I've taken off the Miles, and this was a fan fiction that I wrote, I did more art from that post, and I wrote the backstory, real brief. And I love the backstory. And I'm like, she's actually going to show up in Supernatural. So, yeah, this, you know, I took all the Spider-Man stuff off of it, but I love the design. I love the character. I love the backstory. All that stuff is going to be the same. This character is my character. She's going to show up in my IP as a vigilante. And yeah, so it's easy. Now, would I have loved to do this story for Marvel and have her, you know, as Miles interacting with Miles? Heck yeah, man, that would have been dope. But it would have had to be official to say this version it was created by and designed by, and you know, all that stuff. This is Marcus Williams's character. That's expensive. That's too
Right.
much headache for them.
Right down to the hair, though, dude. Right down to the hair. I mean, could they change it? Look,
Right.
Well, there's still
I mean,
room for a collab in the future. They do
Absolutely.
crossovers now and then, so
Yeah.
Supernatural crosses
no,
with Marvel.
Hey,
Ooh, I wouldn't
man.
do that at all.
Hey, my man.
Oh no, we look. It'd have to be, you know, that's the contract. Got to look good on that now.
The contract,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
The
Got to look good
contract
on
gotta
that.
look good.
Yeah, I don't want them because they'll kill Supernatural in the next book. Like,
Oh,
well,
geez.
yeah. I wanted to. I got to control
All
that
right.
one.
So,
Cool.
thank you
Thank you.
very much, Marcus, for your time. We've wanted to have you on here for a long time.
Appreciate it.
Happy to finally have you, brother.
It is a
We have
pleasure. Yeah.
we have a tradition here at Black Comic Lords
Okay.
that when you interview with us, we consider you family.
Cool.
And so what we'd like you to do is not that. My producer is completely gone.
It's all right. No, it's all right,
Where's
man.
this
Listen, look. See, I take that as stay black, and I will stay black. I appreciate that sentiment.
All right, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
want you to look into the screen,
Yeah.
say your name, and
Yes.
say, I am a Black Comic Lord.
Hey, this is Marcus Williams, aka Marcus the Visual, and I am Black Comic Lord.
There you go. There you go.
Cool.
Yay.
Cool. And I will stay black. So that first scream was very artistic for me. It was abstract. I was Marcus, we want you to stay black. Okay, I got that. I appreciate it.
My producer's very, very tired. Me and you, we gonna talk, bro. We gonna talk. Embarrass me on the live with Marcus the Visual here. I mean, all right. Well, anyway. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Man. It's my pleasure.
Tell
And
the fam where they can follow you.
Yes, I'm Marcus the Visual, as it shows on the screen. Wait, I'm gonna do it. Angel's doing right here. Marcus the Visual is my my name online. You can find me on there. I am Marcus Williams is my name, but this is the kind of stuff, man. If you see and follow my art, I know what I'm supposed to do to get famous online. I'm supposed to draw pretty women all the time, because women are attractive to both men and women and all ages. So,
particularly with shea butter.
Right, with shea butter, but you'll find that I'm very eclectic and random with the things that I love, the things that I'm inspired by, the things that I want to show. I'm addicted in showing things that people won't show. Designing Storm with locks. Please, Angel, if you find that fact, let me know.
I'm gonna dig on that just to be sure, because
I make that shirt in a heartbeat. Marcus Williams, first artist, do me Storm in locks. I'll do that. But yeah, I'm addicted to that. Like, if everyone's drawing the same thing, the first Miles Morales image I drew was after the movie. Thank you. Look how quick that was. See, he owned it. The first one I did, what year was that? 2018. Everyone was drawing Miles doing what? Swinging like Spider-Man.
Right.
After I watched the movie, I was like, are you mad? He's the first Black Spider-Man that does graffiti. What are you doing? I want to draw that. And so that's what I drew. And I took this to New York Comic-Con that same year. I printed 80 of them and was like, it should be enough. It's 80. Sell out with this. I sold out on Friday. 80. Printed 80 more on Saturday. Sold out on Saturday. Printed 80 more. Sold out on Sunday. I did this on my iPad. This was the first image I drew on my brand new iPad that year. I was like, this thing it's cost $1,200. It's better make me some money. And I did it on the iPad just to prove, can I draw? But this image, no one was drawing this. No one was drawing. I was like, he does good. He's an artist. It's a Spider-Man artist combo. What are we doing here, people? And yes, he swings and he's Spider-Man, but I'm like, nobody wants to show that. So that's what I do. This image that's on my shirt was not in the movie. This was like, you can't see it in the camera, but he's like, has tears running down his face a little bit. He has, he's hurt. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's hurt, and he's holding a badge from his dead father in that, in the new Spider-Verse movie. This wasn't shown in the movie. And I'm like, I want to see that. Like, he's obviously hurt. That his father died. They did a mural across the building away. He should feel some kind of way about it, but they didn't show that in the movie. But that's what I love to do. If they don't show it, I want to show more of it. Because there's story in it. Hobie Brown, I got some more Hobies.
Hobie.
It's insinuated in the movie that he went to go give Gwen's dad that little time watch. Because his dad was like, oh yeah, the character, the dude that dropped it off was I want to show Hobie like sprawled out with his feet kicked up on like the coffee table, talking to Gwen's dad, because that's a dope scene and they didn't show it. Hobie was in that movie for 5 minutes altogether, and came out as one of the like breakout characters of the whole movie. And they insinuated all of this stuff about him. But I'm like, yo, I want to see that. You know, how did he know to tell Miles to use his palm? So that's why I drew that one where he's holding his palm. The insinuation is he knew more about Miles than Miles knew about himself. So
Right.
he was either watching or studying Miles. He had to go build the time watch. He was stealing all those pieces throughout the movie. So I got a picture of him that I'm working on still, where it shows Hobie in the lab building that watch. You know, that's insinuated imagery. They didn't show it. So that's what I'm addicted to showing. So if you follow my work, you'll see more of that stuff, including black women with shea butter skin. That's all I'm saying. You know, why not? So, thank you guys, though. I appreciate it. My website is marcusthevisual.com. You can buy some posters from there. So yeah, follow me. Thank you guys. I'll come back if y'all want me to come back. When this second book drops from Popeye,
Yes,
you know,
come back.
we can talk about it.
We're gonna have to talk about that.
Yeah, Whaler Joe and what I got planned for Whaler and his lady. Because yeah, I'm gonna go in, y'all. That's black. Have that in there.
I do have a request.
Come on.
If your second issue of Eye Lie Popeye sells out,
Okay.
and they're gonna go to a second printing.
Okay.
See if you can put Whaler Joe on the cover, because he's never been on the cover of a comic book before.
I love it.
Even if he's just in the background, the fact remains he's never been on the cover of a comic. So
I will start that work immediately.
I love that idea. Let's see him on the cover.
Right.
Double down.
Right. Yes, I'm with it. Because, you know, again, the people ain't gonna read anyway. Well, it's Popeye. Who's this? Who's this? Oh, this woke trash. Wokeness. I'll do it. Yeah. Yes. I'll ask him. I'll make sure to do it. So yes, I got it. I'll do that.
All right. So Khatib reminds us, make sure everyone you pre-order next issue. Eye Lie Popeye.
Yes.
Comes out next month.
Yes, indeed.
You can probably still pre-order at LCS. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I got mine pre-ordered already.
Like 4 or 5 copies. There's 4 or 5 covers. Go ahead and go. You know,
get them.
One of each.
Get them. I'm gonna make my own posters about it, but I'm with you on that cover. I'm gonna do it.
There you go.
So yes, y'all be good. Thank you so much for having me, y'all. I really appreciate it. Great to finally make it to the show. You know, whatever communications that happened before that. Listen, we fixed it.
You made up for it. Now you're official member of the squad.
Right.
So you ever want to come back, you just email us and say, hey, I don't know what you're doing on Wednesday, but I don't care. Move that out the way. I'm coming on the show. and we'll bring you on.
See, now, all right, yeah. So look, that comment right there. I don't do blackwashing of characters. I call it that. Oh man, you should do like a black Goku. You should draw black. I'd rather create another character in the world of Dragon Ball Z that's black. I'm just laughing at, you know, the comment he said. I think he said something about a black Popeye, making Popeye black. Listen, man, not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. Well, that don't mean I'm not gonna put some characters in there, man.
Doesn't mean Whaler Joe doesn't have a son.
Listen, that don't mean I'm not gonna put some characters in there that makes sense to be in Popeye's universe. That's black. Come on now.
Whaler Joe was a surrogate father. How do you know that Popeye doesn't have a surrogate brother from Whaler Joe?
Listen, we're gonna work it out. Okay. Collard greens will be in the story at some point.
I know collard greens gotta pop up at some point.
You know what I'm talking about? So we're gonna work it in. But yes. Y'all be good, man. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all for watching us. Please, if you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
Until next time. Oh, are we doing weekend wrap up after this?
It's like 20 or 30 minutes to midnight.
I think. Catch us next time.
Yeah.
Black Comic Lords.
Thank y'all. Y'all be good. Peace, man.